All right. So, hi, everyone, and welcome back. So, today we're having a bonus session from the Personal Brand Live Launch program that we did last week. If you are part of that 5-day training series, please give me a comment and tell me hashtag personal brand so I can know you are a part of that group because that was really, really, really fun to have so many people join that program. It was really definitely insightful to help people go from start to finish. And at the end of the program, obviously, we spent 5 incredible days together. I was going live 12 p.m. sharp every single day to teach people about how to really launch a personal brand in this day and age. We went beyond, just, closing out. We had a ton of emails, a ton of DMs, a ton of messages, and we read through all the dialogues. Obviously, a lot of people joined the Personal Brand Accelerator program, which we'll tell you a little bit more about later. But essentially, it was a 5-day experience helping everyone pretty much be able to walk from start to finish in 5 days, walk through how to position your brand, optimize your social media, create your first digital product, launch your personal brand live, and start generating customers immediately, and be able to turn your personal brand into a legacy empire where you could turn it into an actual 6-figure or beyond business. Based on the feedback, obviously you guys wanted more. So we said, like, look, you know what, let's just, respond to some of the top feedback points. And a lot of you said, well, Christine, we've seen you in the market, internationally, traveling, doing all these amazing things. Can you share with us how to build an international brand and get paid to speak, travel, and consult global companies like you do on a regular basis? So I listened and I heard, and the joke that I have amongst my community networks, amongst my friendship circles, is like anytime I catch up with friends, family, or peers, the first question they ask me is, well, wait, what country are you in right now? And I get that all the time. I'm constantly traveling, constantly on the road. I have done better to slow down purposely because I'm a mother of four now. I'm married, and I just want to really enjoy, you know, not just the fruits of my work for the past decade in the tech space, but also I want to spend time with my family. So I don't travel as crazy as I did back then. However, people have really told me, Christine, regardless, you are at the right places at the right time. If it's international media, international players, international, influencers, you are at the right places every single year. So share with us how you were able to build a personal brand to get access to all these phenomenal networks and communities that you're constantly a part of. So I hear you, I heard it, and I'm like, this is the session where I'm going to share with you not only of the journey, how I got there, but just letting you understand, like, there are certain very simple steps I took to position myself for international brands and for international opportunities. And a lot of times people forget that, for you to get on international stages like I do on a regular basis, it really starts with, again, that first day one lesson that I shared with before. It was not theoretical. It's literally based on my 11 plus years experience, not only in the global speaker circuit, but also supporting brands, supporting influencers and government officials and corporate networks around the world. This is what I did. I had to position my brand and really cultivate a value statement, sharing with others that I am an international speaker. I am, a tech ecosystem leader. I am a serial entrepreneur. And if you want to connect with someone with that background, I'm the one to call. So I did have to position my brand. Beyond that, I want to share with you the 3 ways to actually go beyond building that personal brand, but building an international brand is 3 things. One, you have to, and I'm going to get straight to the point earlier. I'm not going to wait till the end to drag out. I'm going to get straight to the point. So if you're here for this, you stay for it, right? So first and foremost, you have to participate at international programs. That is just a given. Like many people say, like, I'm at events where there are celebrities. I'm at events where there are government officials. You have to participate. If you're not in those spaces, if you're not in the rooms, you're not going to get the right invites. And I even include ones in your local area. But forget, if you're based in places like New York, DC, Boston, or any major city in the world, there's always good to be an international conference, summit, retreat, program of some sort in your community. And some of these programs happen every single year, right? So if you're in any major city, you have to look it up and know, okay, what are the key international programs happening in your community? And how do you make sure that you constantly are on the list or get invited or are part of those programs every single year? We'll dive into that in a couple of minutes. The second thing is, this is a no-brainer, but this is very important. You do have to get on international stages, which mean you do have to speak at international programs, right? I have been speaking at international events for over 11, 12 plus years now. Like the first major one was in 2013-ish, right? So now we're in 2024. So over 11, yeah, over 11, 12 years, right? So I've been in the circuit for a while, and I will tell you, being on international stages automatically gives you international prestige. So I'll share with you the steps that you could do to do that. Okay. Especially in today's market when it's a lot easier to find international opportunities. And the last thing is you have to be working on international projects or have an international global business. I will share that with you because I have a number of businesses that are international in nature. And I'm not talking having international customers. Okay. Because a lot of people, when they hear this, probably think, oh, well, I have customers all over the world. No, that doesn't make you an international platform. I mean, you and your business and your projects taking to international destinations. And I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute. All right. So these are the three things I'm going to talk about today for this bonus session. So I hope you have your pen and paper and your notes ready because I'm going to dive right into this. Okay. So the first one, diving straight in, you got to participate in international events. This is very, very, very basic. When I first started my career, oh my God, I feel like I'm aging myself. I'm so young. But over a decade ago, your girl was at every event. And I was not only participating and attending events, I was helping other event organizers build and manage their events. So I was helping at registration. I was helping at the green room. I was helping with logistics. I was helping with marketing. I could be honest and say that, okay, devil's advocate here, like I love event management. I don't do it as much anymore because, when you get so good at something over a decade, you get tired of it. But at the time, my talent in event management and event hosting is so crazy that anytime someone had me join their team to support any event that they were doing, it was just by far a success. And I'm going to brag about that because I was that good at it, right? And so I'm not saying you have to be an event management guru as well, but let's say at 20 events, let's say that you join to be a part of in a year, whether you attend as an attendee, as a participant, as an entrepreneur, please select at least half of them to actually help out, right? Humble yourself, because I feel like there's not enough humility in this world anymore. People just don't want to do basic fundamental things to get ahead, to build relationships, to build networks, and to build knowledge. Humble yourself and reach out to event organizers and say, hey, how can I help? And actually help. Don't be useless, okay? So support other events and be on their registration teams, be on their event management, social media. You will learn a lot by participating at major functions because some of these international functions, they will not accept, anyone to register for them. So by being a part of the event organizers to support it, you're automatically in, correct? So one thing that I used to do back then, and to this day, I still recommend it to a lot of my mentees who are trying to get in the event circuit, and they say that this thing works like a charm, right? You got to participate at local international events. Emphasis on the local. So if you're based in New York City like I am, there's dozens of international events happening every single day. If it's international in nature, which means that they're invited international speakers, international partners, international players, you got to participate in a different way. And I will tell you that when will you actually build the persona or the personal brand that people will be able to associate international prestige with you is if you participate and visibly share updates about it on social, by the way, at least 7 to 12 times a year. If you are, let's say you're in New York City, it's like 12 international events, like, there's like Global Citizens Week, there's UNGO Week, there is Fashion Week. Like if you are a part of these international events that are happening in New York every single year, again, people start to associate you with international functions, which automatically extends your personal brand to international market, right? So I gave some examples. So depending on your niche, if you are into women empowerment, women events, then go to international women's conferences based in your local city. Obviously, there are local ones, but the ones that are international. Again, they usually have international speakers, international partners, and international players and stakeholders, okay? If they have those three things, it's an international event happening on your soil, okay? Other things, like, for example, I am huge in the circuit for the Caribbean and Africa because I'm also African and Caribbean. So I participate in a lot of global Africa events in New York City, in the US, and that gives me international prestige across. So that's why I'm always invited to speak at a lot of Africa-based programs. So in Rwanda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Egypt, Nigeria, you name it, I've been there. Okay. And so Africa global conferences are participating to a lot of them, right? Same thing even for industries. So I just showed you a gender specific example, a regional specific example. I can even share with you just topics, right? Like fintech, health tech, music tech. There's always going to be an international event in your local city. Participate, and if you can, try to support that event organizers so you could be a part of the logistical framework. And not only is it make it easier for you to network with the speakers and the sponsors and the partners that are coming to the program because they get familiarity with you, but you really get to open up your horizons, because if you're listening to the keynotes and the conversation at the event, automatically you start to really walk around with an international presence because you're exposed to international players. Get it? You got to be around the aura that you want to become, plain and simple. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing I will say that I did back then that was literally like my go-to plan. I had a Word doc and a spreadsheet, and I did not play with these two documents. Okay. Internationally, we start with two major lists that we say every single year, at minimum, we have to meet at least 70% attendee or speaker rate for each one of these events. Okay. So on those two lists, I have one, a tech event spreadsheet, right? So it was a list of about 25 major global tech conferences and summits that I had to be a part of. And then my second sheet was 20 major government events that were happening around the world that I knew I had to be a part of. Okay. Plain and simple. So for example, for tech events, as a tech entrepreneur, Web Summit, CES in general, South by Southwest, right? Startup Grind. There's so many global, international, well-known, documented. I mean, TechCrunch has one. I made sure that out of the 25, at least half of them, for some people, but for me, I was at all of them, okay? I was even speaking at these events. But before I was speaking, I was attending. I made sure to be a part of these events and showcase people on social media, in my newsletter, that I was part of these events. And I was doing, and I have a separate, I'll probably put a link in the chat. I have a whole webinar session on how to network and build a global brand by networking at major events. And I'll share with you 7 different things that I did to really meet almost everybody, from interviewing speakers, from creating micro community meetups on the side of these major events. I mean, I did some really, really unique things to build an international brand off the backs of these international functions that added immense value to attendees who are trying to build community. So check the link in the comments and I'll be able to share that with you. But with that said, tech events were very, very clear. And you could just Google this top tech events to be a part of, and you know, but the signature ones are like Web Summit, CES, South by Southwest, and so on and so forth. Because I have a lot of government clients, I also was a part of the government circuits, right? So every year people knew that they saw me at Davos, right, in Switzerland. People saw me at UNGWI, which is the UN General Assembly Week that happens in New York every single year. A lot of government officials are coming through. I even was a part of the major government funded programs like the Small Business Administration annual conferences, the ones in DC. Anything that has to do with government officials, the government programs, I was a part of it and made sure to join. Another thing I will say is also try to join your local TEDx programs, because those usually invite a lot of international players. And if you're at functions like that, again, it automatically gives you international credibility and prestige. So these are the things that I did. I leveraged Eventbrite and Google to find them. And I even had a Google alert on certain programs, so that when they open up registrations, I could DM them. I added the entire event organizers to my LinkedIn, so that way I could spot when they're talking about it, so I could build rapport with them. So I did a lot to really build rapport with the entire event ecosystem of international programs within my local city. And the ones that require travel, I made sure to do that as well. Number 2, you guys speak at international events. Simple, right? And I have an entire program on this, but essentially you speaking on global stages automatically makes your personal brand an international brand, right? And I'm starting to lose count. I even had my assistant help me keep track of all the events I've spoken at. I've spoken at over 300 plus events globally. And I will tell you, that when you're speaking at international functions, something about people seeing you in Nigeria or Japan or Malaysia or China, especially if you're based in the US, automatically changes the game. And a lot of my friends who are in the tech space, they speak at a lot of events, but a lot of them are always US bound events. Okay. I'm one of the few, especially Black entrepreneurs, who speak at a lot of global international stages. And I took for granted how rare that is, because a lot of people, if they do make it abroad, it's usually not on major events, right? Or they're not flown out to speak for those international conferences and events. So to share with you how I did that, my entire speaker circuit has been around speaking in Dubai, speaking in Japan, speaking in Malaysia, but it all started with me being very purposeful about the topics I wanted to speak at and the values I wanted to provide. And I have a speaker one pager on the screen here where I shared my bio, my topics, all the work that I've done in the speaker circuit, even in the very beginning, right? Even webinars, when I started doing speaking engagements via webinars, I always include those topics so I can start building my speaker portfolio or resume to get on international stages. And again, I have an entire accelerator program. You could DM me on the comments if you want to be a paid speaker and learn more about that program through the Speaker Career Launch Accelerator program. But essentially, I walk you through how to build a speaker profile, how to optimize it, build your speaker proposal so you can get booked for speaking engagements, especially the ones around the world. And you'll find that as you're building your credibility, going back to the screen here, you got to document it. And this is the reason why I went back and forth between images, photos of me speaking at global events, but also me sharing about it on social media, because I can't stress enough, if you're not sharing and documenting to the public your global experiences, people won't know that you have global experiences. Does that make sense? So I constantly was documenting this journey to the public with my network, right? And so if you want to get on a speaker circuit, but you don't have a budget to, first off, travel the world, but first and foremost, really know how to build your speaker brand as quickly as possible, I would start with finding a list of 20 virtual events that you can speak in, because usually virtual events are a lot easier to book than in-person functions. I'm also an event organizer, and I will tell you, I won't take any profile just like that, simply because I don't know if you're going to freeze on stage. I don't know if you're going to sell on stage and really annoy my audience. I don't know if you're going to keep the time. I don't know if you're professional. There's so many unknowns with your profile. So I tend to take a leap of faith with a lot more speakers on our virtual programs. And based on the quality of the work, then we invite them to major international events that we're doing in Haiti, in Ghana, in Nigeria, around the world, where we host events. I'm telling this as a person wearing my hat from an event organizer hat, but also a public speaker hat at the same time, so you can know on both sides why I'm telling you to start with virtual events, so that way your close rate could be a little bit faster. Once you go through that list, then of course start to find 10 international events that you can speak on and work your way through, so that way you start to get on international stages, okay? Local events work too if it has an international prestige to it. And last but not least, the third thing is you have to have international projects in businesses, right? You have to be working on global projects for people to respect what you're doing. And I shared this earlier. That's not about you having international customers. It's about you having international destinations where your business brings you abroad, right? So my platform called the Global Startup Ecosystem, I am constantly traveling the world, building tech ecosystems, working with government stakeholders, working with institutional players around the world on a regular basis. So my clients are not only international, my work is international, right? And so it's very clear that this business is international in the scope of multiple different angles. But before I had an international platform and a business doing this, I was working on international projects. And what that looks like, again, I'm always showing you the simple ways of doing this, so that way you could get started as soon as possible. With international projects, I was doing things like working with international blocks. So one thing that was really, really key is I worked with NGOs abroad. I worked with, volunteering with international institutions, working with universities abroad, mentorship, anything that gave me international reach, I worked on. At the time, I wasn't purposeful about it. It's just that when you're in an international mindset, you automatically working with international players, but in decoding what worked for me, that's what I'm sharing with you, so that way you could kind of retroactively built it in your plan right now, right? So I work with, blogs in Africa, right? I worked with blogs in the Caribbean. I work with, startup entrepreneurs in the Middle East. I launched, an international startup where it required that I visit certain locations around the world. The point is, you gotta really put yourself out there in a way where you work with other institutions, other individuals who are based abroad, and you could collaborate, even if it's for a temporary stint, like a week, a month, a quarter, where that contribution gives you that international brand scope. Okay, and so these are things that you could do immediately. Now, I already just shared with you 3 things that you could do to build an international brand. 1, participating at international events. 2, speaking at international functions. And 3, working on international projects or businesses. The bonus strategy I want to share with you before I close out for today, and this is one that I always tell people, like if you can't find opportunities, you got to create your own opportunities, because at the end of the day, I'm not a girl or woman who just waits for someone to tap on my shoulder and give me a chance. I make shit happen for myself, because in this day and age, I would say the world has really shifted a lot, where a lot of people are very skeptical, are very, not really quick to want to support other players, especially newcomers. So you got to be able to build your personal brand as quickly as possible with as much experience as possible. And you got to really take off the mindset of, I don't have the resources, I don't have the money, I don't have the this, I don't have the that. Like, you got to stop that and really just put yourself out there and create your own opportunities, even if it's in a small way. And so the bonus strategy I want to share with you today is pretty much creating your own luck. Create your own international personal brand by hosting your own conferences, retreats, and tours abroad. Now, I know this is like, no duh, but a lot of people don't know how to do it, right? It is very difficult for a lot of people to host events and programs abroad. I have done all of the above. I've done international conferences, I've done retreats, I've done tours, I've done workshops, right? And I will tell you, it's the fastest route to not only creating an international personal brand, but controlling the narrative, because you have full control on the program that you're doing, the speakers you're inviting, the partners you're working with. And so I would say, if this is your first time doing this, start with something very small. I wouldn't do a tour just yet, because maybe you're not ready, unless if you're diaspora and you are very familiar with a country abroad, you should do something in that country, because you can leverage your know-how to do it. So for example, I'm Haitian American. So Haitian, very proud. Okay. So being Haitian, I have homes in Haiti. I understand the Haitian landscape because I grew up there as a child. One of the easiest things I was able to do was host an event in Haiti. And on the side, I did an actual tour of the country, right? So I was able to host a retreat in Haiti because it was easy for me to do this, right? So being able to, operate in the turfs that you know very well works. I also studied in Mexico. I studied in Brazil. I studied in Dubai. So I do a lot of programs in places like Dubai because it's my home turf. I studied there. I know that when you're at a place where you live, you do groceries, you live there and you do so much there, you know the landscape very, very well, right? So for a lot of us either vacation to the same places, studied in international places, did maybe a study abroad, a work abroad, or a project abroad. Leverage the international destinations that you already know to create an international experience. If you don't have any, then you partner with someone to do it. But the point is, being able to host your own programs is so phenomenal. And in my personal brand accelerator program, I show people how to do just that, because it's one of the easiest ways to not only build an international personal brand, but also monetize it as quickly as possible as well. Okay. So with that said, we covered a lot in a half hour. I wanted to be very slick and quick and to the point, because I didn't want to extend this past an hour. I really wanted this bonus session to be slick and easy for you to understand. Okay. So with that said, it's time to turn these insights into actions. Obviously, these 3 different insights, probably just like, wow, really great insight. How do I apply it? I want to share with you, because I always do this. I always tell people, and I want to show them how to do it. So here's an action plan you could take into focus over the next couple months that will really be useful for you. And you will see by the end of the year, you'll see how your personal brand has transformed by doing these tactics. So the first thing is I would take an hour to go through Eventbrite and find 20 events that you want to attend over the 6 months, and message the organizer how you can help, either logistics, registration, just message them. And by the way, emails through Eventbrite goes directly to the organizer, so they will see it, okay? Second, take another hour to find 30 virtual events. And I say 30 because not all of them will respond and not all of them will confirm you. So even if you're able to get 5 to 10 speaking engagements, that's great because that puts you in the limelight on virtual programs that have international prestige. Definitely take the time to do that. And you don't have to go back and forth with them with pricing. Just do it to get out there. And a lot of these virtual events, they don't need you speaking more than 10 to 15, if not 30 minutes, if it's a panel. So it's really quick wins that could get you on the circuit as quickly as possible, okay? And last but not least, take an hour to map out 3 major projects you can do internationally, right? Whether it's support a charity, visit a tech hub, launch a startup, host a retreat, right? And take a couple of weeks to share updates about you working on that project and you executing on that project and the lessons learned from that project. I did this all the time early on in my career. Not only is it informative to your audience and your community, but it's also inspiring, right? Because people are able to see you walk through an entire journey of doing something out of your own boundaries, out of your own league, and something very mesmerizing about that. And for number 3, which for some people might be harder to do than the first 3, if you feel like you're not ready, then do a save the date and see how many people react to you saying that you're announcing a retreat, a conference, a program abroad. See how your community reacts to that and see if it's a green light. If you get enough reactions, then you got a green light to really move forward. If not, it might take some time to really promote and engage and really support your community to get them comfortable with the idea of working with you abroad or traveling with you abroad for a program or function. And we show this in the Personal Brand Accelerator program. With that said, again, last week we had an amazing 5-day training program where I shared with you from start to finish how to launch their personal brand in 2024. Replays are available for that program. If you registered for that 5-day series, you automatically have access to the replays, and those replays will be available for the next 48 hours before they will come offline for the public. So feel free to binge and go through it. Make sure to leverage this bonus session to really culminate that 5-day experience, to really get you thinking strategically about how to apply those 5 sessions and take it in with an international lens. Because again, I've done this many times in my career, still doing it to this very day. And I will tell you, building an international brand does take work, takes time, but I share with you some of the secret blueprints to accelerate that path as quickly as possible. Now, with that said, I really want to help you launch your personal brand and really build this international personal brand that you are destined to have, and to really build your career and make 2024 a really powerful year of transformation in your life. And with that said, you might need more than 5 days, okay? And if you want to make it happen where I can help you launch your international personal brand, let's make it happen in under 30 days. I welcome you to join me for the Personal Brand Accelerator program, where it will be a live program, okay? A live multi-week program. I'm emphasizing live because I know there are so many programs on the internet right now that are virtual recordings, and that is it. I love hosting my programs live because I get to answer questions. I get to really audit people's profiles and give them live feedback. I help them edit their profiles, edit their bios. I like interacting with people and seeing them in their personal brand journey and supporting them and coaching them through that process from start to finish so they can accomplish all the things that they want to accomplish, including speaking engagements, international clients, corporate contracts, and so on and so forth. So doors are now open to this group who's been a part of this 5-day series. You're welcome to join. And of course, in that 4-week program that is live, I walk you through the entire footprint of helping you launch your website, optimize your social media, creating a whole strategy and helping you execute on that strategy, helping you create your first digital product so you can start generating sales, and ultimately turning your personal brand to the business and launching. We create a virtual event launch to help you launch your personal brand to the public. All of that is really powerful to have that in a program with live coaching sessions with me twice a week, with all the resources and recordings that you need, and also event management support. Is nothing that you're going to find anyplace else. And obviously today, for the next couple of hours, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to join at this price point. But obviously, when we go up to the public, it will increase in price for sure. All right. So with that said, if you want to join me and be able to launch your brand, make it an international brand that gets you access to all these different opportunities that I share with you today, then join me for this live coaching program for the Personal Brand Accelerator 2024 cohort, where I'm accepting a small batch of people to join me. And I say a small batch because I need enough time to customize and really go through your profile to support you along the journey. All right. Some of the top questions that people ask, is it recorded live? It's a live program. All sessions are recorded though, but you have access to me live for each week. It is a digital coaching program that starts in August. We go live twice a week from 12 to p.m. with optional sessions on Saturdays. We do cultivate based on people's schedules on the program. Obviously, those sessions are built where I'm coaching and training you for 5 hours, showing you how to build a website, showing you how to optimize your social media. And then we have implementation sessions for 30 minutes to make sure that you are applying what you learn. So it's very, very hands-on. We workshop live together. It's not one of those programs where you learn and then you apply it after the program. We're doing it live together. Okay. Obviously, there are payment plans available. Just DM the team at hello@christineandtim.com if you need support with that. But after the program, you still have 6 months of access to the live mastermind and coaching sessions. So that way we could be able to check on you to see how you're accelerating your personal brand. We always get great updates and stories for people post the program. And the deadline to book was the 19th for the exclusive offer opportunity that we're extending for the next 48 hours for those of you who want to join to be a part of that opportunity. Okay. So this offer closes in the next couple of hours. Feel free to book. The link is in the chat for you to be able to join. If you loved the 5 days that we did the training and you need more support, and you want to be able to do it another 30 days or less with me live, this is your opportunity to join me for the Personal Brand Accelerator program. So with that said, I was able to do that in under 30 minutes. I wanted to make sure that I had it sweet and to the point for you guys, because I love you guys wanted a quick snippet, a quick bonus session to really help you along the way. So I'm excited that you guys were a part of today's session. Feel free to engage with me offline if you have any questions. The team is also on the chat if you have any questions at hello@christineandtim.com. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you for the Personal Brand Accelerator program that goes live next month. And without further ado, all the best. Thank you so much for joining. And hopefully, I can't wait to see you apply today's strategies today in your life as you work on your journey of launching an international personal brand. Bye-bye. everyone to the Personal Brand Accelerator program. We're going to talk about really the who, what, when, where, how of personal branding. Personal branding in many ways is an ongoing process, right? Because you are practicing, you're developing, you're manifesting yourself over time as you grow and develop as a person within your career. Today, we're transitioning from the personal branding fundamentals to now building your personal branding foundation, right? You can't position yourself for opportunity unless you understand your motivations and what is your capacity. Now, at the very beginning, you should always be experimenting with your brand and engaging with the world, just trying to find out, okay, what experiments do you need to run to see where you need to be. There are a million different ways to make money with your personal brand, but you either got to do what is your biggest strength right now, right? Or you do where the most resources are available. A lot of people, when they're trying to monetize their personal brand, they focus on bucket 4 and 5. Right? Where they're working with people to get speaking engagements, contracts. You're doing a lot of external activities to get that clout from the community to pay you for certain works. A lot of times people confuse marketing and sales to be the same thing, right? This is the reason why a lot of people, they have a personal brand. Let's say they got as far as they create a free or paid product like a course or a retreat or a session, and they're putting it out there. They're quote unquote marketing it, they're promoting it, they're blasting it, but they're not monetizing, they're not making money. And part of the reason why is because they did not combine their marketing strategy with their sales strategy. But I could give you all the systems all day long, but it's up to you to turn it into a routine. And that does require checklists. It does require you really having the discipline to execute on that routine. So much has happened over the past couple of weeks. You have learned so much from start to finish. The best way I could end this is by saying that, look, like a lot of people wait their entire life to try to figure this out. You have the unique opportunity where you have this content for life, right? You have this journey for life where you are now given a blueprint to constantly keep upping your brand, keep accelerating your career, keep creating value, and also creating multiple streams of income for yourself in addition to any of the fundamental work that you do. So as you guys can see, I'm just coming real quick. You got an inside peek into the program with that video clip where you could see the last time when we did the pilot version of the Personal Brand Accelerator program. You can see how open and vulnerable I was, not only with teaching personal branding and the journey of building a very profitable, strong, legacy-driven personal brand through the program with the cohort. But I also shared very tangible insights. I showed people how to launch digital products. I shared with people how to launch a conference. I shared with people how to get featured in international media, get speaking engagements. During the course of that 4-week program, we literally break down all the different methods that you could use to not only build a personal brand and scale it, but also monetize that journey. Because a lot of you have very powerful, unique corporate business career experiences. And I always say this, you're always 2 steps ahead of somebody in this world. There's so many different experiences, both your lived experiences, your work experiences, and what I call ask experience, what people ask you on a regular basis that you could be putting out there to the world that people could capitalize on and work on. So I always tell people, look, this is a phenomenal opportunity for you to prepare yourself for the digital age right now, because right now it is so crazy that so many people are not realizing that another tech wave is happening again. For those who missed out on the tech revolution, where so many billionaires and millionaires came from launching tech companies in the early 2000s, the next wave where people were doing platform companies during the last recession in 2008, there was a huge wave of companies that we use to this day that emerged in that time frame, right? And so we are now in another wave. We live in a digital creative society where people are now being recognized for their actual expertise. And monetizing that is not only going to be an optional thing, but an imperative thing, because we're realizing depending and really being complacent is not going to help, right? Being dependent on other sources like institutional frameworks to not lay you off, businesses that are shifting so much, your career expertise, your life experiences, you have that for the rest of your life. That doesn't change. So building a business plan around that expertise is so, so crucial, right? It's so, so strategic and it's so sustainable. This is not something that fades out over time. It's not something that, 10 years ago won't work. Like everyone knows, since I was young, I saw people monetize their brands through speaking engagements, launching books, being authors, right? Being adjunct professors, right? There's so many different ways to do that. And in this personal brand accelerator program, I share with you step by step, not only from my experience, how I've done it, but share with you how you could customize it for your own journey. That's the reason why the cohort will be a small one for me to be able to support you on that process. So with that, thank you for taking a look at the inside. With that, you see inside the experience, like what you're gonna have access to during those next couple of weeks, and all the different information and access that you're gonna have during that program is definitely worth the investment of doing that for sure. So with that said, I'm over and out. Thank you so much for joining me again for the bonus session. And thank you for diving into the Personal Brand Accelerator program. I can't wait to see you guys join the program over the next couple of weeks. Bye-bye.